I'd like to go and turn it over to Andy now. Andy, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Kyle, and welcome everybody to iCamp. Thank you so much for being with us. What I'm going to be doing in about the next, let's say, 20 to 30 minutes or so is showing you a lot of the things that Kyle talked about, how to actually implement them in the iGoFigure software. Some of these things might be some new features for you that I hope that you'll be excited to learn about, and others of them you might already know about, might be kind of sort of a review. But one way or another, we're going to, like I said, make it all practical and show you these things in the software itself. Now, I would also like to emphasize that we are live on the air here, and I'm happy to take your questions. You might notice in the upper right corner of your screen there's a little webinar control tool. And one of the things that you can do there is to type a question for the staff. It just says type your question here, and then it's got a button for you to send it through. And when you use that feature, I've got a second monitor over here where I'll be able to see your questions as they come up. Linda is asking, Capricorn. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody asked that. But anyway, I am happy to take questions live on the air. If you do have any questions about anything that I'm saying, or even if they're slightly off topic, go ahead, and if we get to the end of the session, we have a little extra time, I'll be happy to answer those also. So let me begin with the very first feature, and Kyle had said that this is a very powerful one, and it really alludes to a lot of what he was talking about, especially as it relates to the book recommendation, and that is quite simply the member attributes feature, a way that you can use that feature in order to learn more personal things about your members, things that will help build a better relationship with them, and also things that will help you to hopefully keep them from canceling, keep them from quitting, keep them from going over to the competitors. Let's take a quick look at member attributes. Now, I'm going to show you this two ways. If I go over here to button number 15, More Options menu, and then button number 8, Member Attributes, this is kind of like a master control screen for the attributes. This is going to show me all of the attributes that are currently in the system. I will see which ones are current and which ones are no longer being used, and I'll also see a summary of how many different members have this attribute assigned. So as you can see already, it's a good overall one screen snapshot or visibility into the attributes at your facility. Now, the specific attributes that you see here, I've left them set up this way on purpose for the purposes of this iCamp, because these are the built-in or system default attributes. These are the attributes that you're going to see from the moment that you first install the iGoFigure software. And what you can do is deactivate any of these attributes that you do not use at your facility, or you can add in any new attributes that you would like to put in. Let me give you a perfect example. Let's take a look at this one right here called Snowbird. In case any of you don't know what a snowbird is a person who typically lives in the northern climates where it's cold and goes down south during the cold season, during the winter. And so snowbirds, right? You get the idea. They migrate south for the winter. And that can be very useful for you to track snowbirds. If you live up north, you want to know which of your members are gone during the winter months. If you're down in Florida, let's say, you might want to know who the snowbirds are, because they are the ones that you get during the winter months that are coming from up north. Now, if for any reason that's totally not applicable, you don't get snowbirds, you don't have snowbirds, you don't want to waste your space there with a snowbird attribute, let me show you how you deactivate. It's very simple. I click here on snowbird. This brings up the details regarding this attribute. I just uncheck it as being current and click on save. You'll see snowbird becomes unsafe. It doesn't disappear from this list. So you have overall history that you once did have a snowbird attribute. You might have had members assigned to it and so forth. But when you go to assign an attribute to a person, now snowbird will no longer be there, no longer be one of the options. On the other hand, and even far more importantly, you can add your own attributes into the system. And this is what I like to call free and unlimited. You can put in an unlimited number of attributes into the system. You can assign an unlimited combination of those attributes to each and every member. And you can always sort, organize, filter, categorize, or run reports on, or even send an email to your members based on their attributes directly out of the iGoFigure software. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of exactly how to do this and exactly how it might be useful. And let's tie this back to the example that Kyle was just talking about. Now, if you just go into Google right now or any search engine that you like, and you search on the internet for McKay 66, you will very rapidly come up with that list by the author, Mr. McKay, of the 66 things to always know about your customer. And you know what? I've looked at that list, and as Kyle was stating, that is a lot of information, especially if you have a very large club, and it is probably a lot more information than you'll ever need about your typical member at a health and fitness facility or a martial arts facility or a dance studio, whatever business type you might have. However, just a subset of those would really, really help. If you have 5 to 10 or 15 to 20, whatever it might be, things that you know. And this is something depending on your area of the country or the world that you live in, or your community or your business type, that you might come up with 5 or 10 different things. Some of them might be universal. For example, one of the things you might always want to know about your members is, what is their status in relation to a significant other? Are they married? Are they in a relationship? Are they in a couple? Are they widowed? Are they divorced? Are they dating? That would be just a really nice thing to know about somebody. And again, like I said, you might come up with a list of 5 to 10 or maybe up to 15 to 20 more. Now, let me give you an example. Let's actually start using the software and take a look. One of the things that would be very nice to know under so many different circumstances is if a person is either in the military or a part of a military family. Let's say their son or daughter is in the military and is currently stationed in Iraq or Afghanistan. So what I would do is I would add an attribute. So I click here on add an attribute. Remember, I'm not adding this attribute to a specific member right now. I'm just putting it into my iGoFigure system so it becomes an attribute I can use. So I'm going to click here on add a new attribute. And let's call it military family. That's whether they're in the military or whether they're from a military family. Their parents or their kids or whatever are in the military. You see, it immediately gets added in alphabetical order, and it is current. Okay, just like that, I have an attribute called military family. How is that useful to you? How does that help you better know your members? Let's take a look. Let's say that a new member joins, and I'm not going to take the time right now to enter a member, so let's just go to an existing member's record. And let's just say here, Betty Barrington, and let's just say that she had just joined and she reveals the fact, or we later find out the fact, you can always come back to a member's record and add this information, that her son is in the military. He just got stationed in Iraq for a several months tour of duty. So here's what I do. I come to her record, I click on Edit. In the upper right corner on the very first tab here, the General tab, you will see the attributes. So I click on Add Remove. And sure enough, there's military family. So I simply check this off and click OK. So Betty now has an attribute, military family. Okay, easy enough. Let's keep going, though. Let me show you some of the things that you can do that will help you in regards to this. You can add detailed notes to each and every attribute. You do that simply by clicking on the attribute. So if I click here on military family, it comes up with some notes about this. So I could type in, for example, son Jason is in Army, currently stationed in Iraq. All right, and I just click on OK and save. Now, let's take a look at what happens. Let's say that sometime later, Betty comes in, she has a question about her membership, about her payment history, whatever. Somehow, some way, you know that almost every day you have to access a member record for some reason or another. So Betty comes up to the counter, she's talking to you, and she's like, no problem, Betty, hang on, let me pull up your record, and I'll go ahead and do that. So I click on Betty, and what's the first thing that you see? On the first tab that comes up, her general tab and her member records, see she's got a military family. Okay? So let's say she just wanted to see how many total workouts she had last month, or how much weight she lost last month. Okay, before I do that, before I jump over and get what she really wants, I'm going to very quickly, remember, she can't see this screen. She only sees the monitor that's facing her. So this screen is private. I'm going to very quickly click here on military family, and there comes the note. Son Jason is in the Army, currently stationed in Iraq. Okay, so now I remember that piece of information. Now I go over to her history tab, and I start looking at her attendance history, and I'm just chatting with her. Yeah, Betty, no problem. It's pulling up your attendance history right now. Hey, by the way, isn't Jason in the Army? Didn't he just get over to Iraq? She's going to be so impressed that you remembered that and that you knew that and that you make a conversation point of that. Okay. Hello, sorry, but I can't hear a clear voice. All right. Okay, I apologize. Do me a favor, and if several of you would just type me a quick comment and let me know how the audio quality is on that. That's about the second comment that I've got, and we do have a moderator who should be replying to you all individually But just send me a quick message and let me know if the voice quality is poor, medium, or just fine for you. And let's let our technicians who are monitoring try to get an idea of what's going on with the audio, and hopefully we'll get that fixed. I'm going to assume that most of you can hear me, and I'm just going to continue on.